Hey everyone, I'm here with Chris and Yoshi. We're going to go over their game from Powerfists and Psykers 3. This is round 4 on table 1. So the mission here was effectively Crusade, was 4 objectives, one in the center of each table quarter, and then Maelstrom secondary. So, Chris, you want to walk us through what you had for your list? Just a really quick overview since we did have it in the intro as well.
Yeah, I had a Pale Host with 45 Warp Spiders, a Wraith Knight, I think 3 or 4 units of bikes, Farseer, Autark with a Chainsword Banshee Mask, and 2D cannons. So that was my list.
Alright, what were you running here, Yoshi?
I had, I believe it was Farseer on bike, bare bones, Farseer on bike, bare bones. Then I had 3D cannons in the army, a void shield generator. I can't remember if it was 9 or 10 squads.
10.
9 squads,
10, it
ten.
was 10.
Yeah, it was 10. I'm that guy. 10 squads of three bikes, all with scout lasers. And then I took the forge rolled Sriracha Knight, the one with Fire the Hellstorm templates.
Scat Hatch, yeah.
The Scatach. And I believe that and Inquisitor with 3 servo
Oh, I
skulls.
also had the Inquisitor 3 Servo Skulls. And I think we both agreed not to deploy them, maybe, like the skulls, because we didn't need to.
Yeah, I was like, "You gonna put yours?" No. All right, cool. Yeah,
So, yeah, you'll notice that my stuff is like spread across the table right now in the video. That's just because this is my third game in a row on table one. So the other 2 videos will be on the channel. But that's just why like all my stuff. Normally my stuff's pretty neat on a display board. Just disclaimer. But I was really tired and I didn't feel like moving it.
Mine was always neat. Oh,
So, Chris, you're deploying here with everything on the table as opposed to what you normally do with your warp spiders.
So yeah, I ran through the scenario. So normally when you play Eldar on Eldar, it's whoever goes second has a huge advantage because of the Maelstrom scoring objectives. You also get to come in from reserve and kill the other guy before. Now I did the math before the game that because I played the bike spam as well, so I think I'm pretty confident when I play against it, and that's that it takes up to 3 bike units to kill a warp spider unit. Statistically, like to almost guarantee it on pretty good odds. And if you jump away, that could generally be 4 bike units that have to waste their shooting. And if you're smart about it, your Exarch will still live. So I figured if I reserve all my stuff, I'm still going to come in before him. So why risk the scatter? I should start all on the board. And then I also did the math in that as long as I roll like above fives and sixes, or like eights or nines or sevens, I can basically touch his stuff round one and get within his void shield. So I kind of threw everything down, knowing that I had a really good shot at tabling him turn one. And the fact that I threw it all down meant that he would have to deploy more of his stuff on the board, which gave me more of an advantage to clearing his models early on. So that's why I did that. And then the reason my bikes all started on the board, maybe minus 1 unit, I can't remember, but is that I wanted them to take down the void shield. So they would shoot they were in the middle of the board, they would go up, shoot the void shield first. Then all my spiders would hit his Wraith Knight, which I figured he'd leave on because if he didn't, he'd be risking getting tabled. And then my decans would also be in position next round as well. So I think that's what was going through my head. That's why I started all because there's no downside for me to put everything on the board at this point, just because, especially using that piece of terrain right in the middle there, as you can see with a turn marker on it. I had a good shot at hiding enough warp spires that he couldn't do much. If stuff went sour, I could probably definitely hide. So yeah, that's how I deployed.
All right, so Yoshi, you're doing your counter deployment here. If I remember correctly, you didn't put down too much. It was just yeah. So you
I
just got what 2 units of bikes and the void shield.
I had
Then
2 units of bikes, the void shield generator, the Wraith Knight, and the Sriracha Knight, and then 2 bike units. Now, in my head, I was like, okay, when he deployed his whole army, I was like, I do have to put more units down, but I don't. I knew how fast he'd move, and if I put all my stuff in one corner, I had to invest a lot of points into that corner. So I figured I put the Wraith Knight down because he's decently hard to kill, especially if you have to go through the Void Shield. The bikes I put down just in case I rolled like the objective get on the other side of the table or a secure objective, or to deny any of the objectives he would grab because he didn't have as many OPSEC units. And if he did, they would be there and I can move my bikes there. Also, I was like, if he does move, I pretty much committed to that upright corner side so that even if the Warp Spiders came up and killed my shield, the shield generator is armor 13, so I knew that the Wraith Knight would probably have to sacrifice his shooting at that and not at my Wraith Knight. So
yeah,
I was like, I had to take a gamble there that maybe he wouldn't table me then because I didn't want to put more bikes on the table. I just I needed them for later to come on and react to what he would do. My big mistake was putting a D cannon on that objective in the building closest to the screen. Must have had a brain fart or something. I don't know why I put it there. I was like, I should just put it further back up against the board edge.
Yeah.
But I put it there. And it died, but what can you do?
So so this is my turn 1 going on right now. If you notice, I put the Wraith Knight in the middle, so I get a clear shot of his Void Shield generator for exactly what he said. When the bikes drop the Void Shields, I could take that building out. I could also shoot the Wraith Knight if I need to. Now, furthest away from the camera, all my Warp Spider units rolled like 4s or 5s to move, so they were all way too far away to do the run and shoot, which sucks. So that immediately sucked, and all 3 of those units ran way too short. And then on the right, closest to the camera, they all went far enough and basically took off his D cannon that's right there.
Yeah, and again, keep in mind, of course, with Pale Host, you're always running 6 inches automatically with your Warp Spiders. So it's just the random roll for the movement.
So if you look at it, like my Warp Spiders are almost in his deployment zone, and I haven't done my end of turn jump move. Like closest to the camera. So this is just me going up there, and it literally took all 4 of these Warp Spider units to clear that 1D battery. And then on the other side, I shot everything, and I took down nothing. No Void Shields of any kind with those 3 Warp Spider units and my bikes over there. So I ended up shooting the Wraith Knight into the Void Shield and taking down 2. But that's it. I literally killed 1 D cannon and his Void Shields. And it's still my turn 1. As you can see, it's a lot of shooting.
Yeah. I think you're doing your assault moves back now.
Yeah, and I actually did all my assault moves forward because I knew that I wanted to assault him.
Oh, you're still shooting. Never mind.
Yeah, but... So my plan was to get on his board edge, so when his bikes only really come in, that I could just, then just charge the hell out of all his bikes and shoot them.
Yeah.
Because I figured he'd come in and kill 3 units or something, or if that, but...
If that, yeah.
I also got -1 to his reserves on my Warlord trait, which was pretty huge.
And I got... Move through color stealth ruins, which was very
huge.
beneficial.
Oh my god, that was so rough. That stealth ruins is brutal. Look at those 2 big buildings though in his deployment zone, right? Like I had 2 as well, but stealth ruins really helped him out there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's always big when you get it.
Yeah.
That's the best one.
Yeah. For bikes, 100%. 100%.
See, I'm over here. I'm trying to box him in, so when he comes in from reserves, there's no clear location where he won't get hit hard. Mm-hmm. Knowing that I'll take casualties when he comes in, but still. And then also keep in mind that I get 1 more turn before his reserves come in.
Yeah, that's true, because you got top of turn, so he's not rolling until the bottom. So, yeah, you've got a good chance to get close, and there's not much on the table that's going to kill very, very many things.
And this is the point that almost lost me the game right here, is when Yoshi takes his turn, he's going to bump a unit of bikes forward and contest an objective on me. And that's basically going to cost me... Because, when you get first turn... You just really hope that you can get the points round 1, both Maelstrom points, and deny him with the superior numbers. So I was really hoping to be 2 Maelstrom points ahead of him at this point, and I ended up only being 1 behind him, I think, actually. So it was really rough. It was really hard on me that happened.
I basically had sacrificed the unit of shooting just to turbo boost onto the objective in his deployment zone to deny him that point. And I used the 3 bikes to fire at something else there. I think some Warp Spiders maybe, and a Wraith Knight to fire as well, just to try to push him away so he does a flicker jump. But I think you only flicker jump with 1 unit because you figure you did the math, I guess, and it doesn't really kill as many as we thought.
Well, I'm not going to flicker jump anything this initial turn unless I accidentally clump dudes or if I miss something. The 1 unit that I did flicker jump was literally to spread them out 2 inches and move them forward away from the unit next to them.
Yeah. So that the scatter wouldn't land on him. Makes sense. Yeah, I think you just moved up right there.
Yeah, because he D'd me, and I tried to... For some reason, I was like, minimum range 12 on those D cannons, bro. And it wasn't. And
yeah. I remember thinking catapults or something from Fantasy.
It was just... So it actually hurt me doing that. Yeah. I was like, I'm going to move up because he can't D-cannon me. And then he actually got to D-cannon me and 1 catapult me because I moved up. So that was an error on my part, but...
And you can't really see it here, but there's actually 2 D-cans, one on top of another, in the building up at the right.
Yeah.
So if you notice 2 templates, it's because of that.
But if you notice, they're even like, I'm going to take casualties, but I was almost very confident he couldn't kill an entire unit.
Yeah.
It looks like you lost a bike, a D cannon, 4 warp spiders, something like that. Not too much.
Yeah, I don't even think I lost a D cannon.
You didn't. Yeah, you didn't. I had killed a unit, and I killed one bike, and you didn't panic. And then I turbo boosted the other one to try to stop the point from happening.
So
Just because
I did deep strike. Sorry, I forgot to mention. I did deep strike a few warps. I think it was 1 or 2 warp spider units, and I'm bringing those in right now.
Yeah, it
So
was
just
one
one.
starter. One just one. Yeah.
The reason I did that was in case I seized. I wanted to have a unit to come in after him, like wherever I wanted. I thought I should have maybe deep struck like 4 units, but I really wanted to give it a good, try to table him round 1. That was kind of my goal. I was really pushing for that round 1 table. And it didn't work out, which it never does. But I don't think that I put all my eggs, like, it wasn't like I did it and then lost the game. I think I was in pretty good position after doing it.
Yeah.
So,
There was no risk in trying to do it.
so here's where I basically am like, I'm going to finish off. I think I have to finish off the Void Shield. So those 2 bikes, I shoot them first because they don't have very many other eligible targets. There's my 2 6s, get rid of the Void Shield. And then I start trying to take out his D cannons, which are stubborn, and then I start firing into the Wraith Knight. So pretty soon you're just going to see us roll dice, and then you're going to see the Wraith Knight's actually going to drop from about 3 units of Warp Spiders in my Wraith Knight shooting. Now I'm being very careful to keep my Wraith Knight in 4+ cover in the middle of the board. Him being there means that he has access to more parts of the board if Yoshi decides to come in a corner or something like that, or turbo boost. It means like if I go too far forward, then I can't come back and catch him. So I really kind of sat him in the middle of the board. I'm hoping for that, and then I'm just basically, my whole plan with this turn 2 is to position myself in cover. See, if you look, I went right in tight along the ruins, so that if he comes in, I have a good shot at hiding some models. So he'll come in, he'll shoot the hell out of 1 unit, kill 3 of them, and then the 2 guys will live. And 2 warp spiders theoretically can drop a bike unit, no problem. Just so that they move up, they shoot, then they charge. It's pretty easy to tie up. And then I have hit and run, he doesn't, so I can bump out and hit him again. So that's kind of what I'm doing here, is I'm positioning myself for that. I'm also bumping, if you look in the middle there, I'm kind of moving my warp spiders in to get shots on his D cannons and his bikes, but I'm also intentionally kind of keeping them back in the open, knowing that if he comes in and shoots them, I can then bump towards wherever he has models. You don't want to overcommit to one corner, because Yoshi's in the corner, you look, there's Wraith Knight's gone, and the one D-battery's getting crippled. But if I overcommitted to that one corner, he would have just basically won the game huge. You really can't do that. You have to commit just enough models to get the job done, plus a safety barrier, and then kind of wait it out. I did not end up getting the D-batteries at all. They just kept going to ground, and it was brutal.
It felt real good.
And the one mistake that I was making too here is this turn, and I realized it right away, is I wasn't charging him. I was running and shooting when I should have done more charging. I should have just, instead of running any of my warp spires, I should have moved them all in and just charged them all in and done like 4 units into his D cannon. I had initially thought about trying to get 1 unit into each D cannon just so that unit could not be shot in return when he came in, because warp spiders statistically, there's a good chance they actually don't kill the D cannon. They kill 1 crew, maybe 2, and then there's a good shot that he makes his test. So that's a good thing. If he would have had like 5 D cannons and I was able to charge 5 D cannons without shooting them with 5 warp spider units, then when his army comes in, I wouldn't be able to be shot, which is pretty good.
So I rolled my reserves now after losing a fair bit of stuff after I lost to Wraith Knight, and I was basically down on Maelstrom, so I'm like, crap. Now I have to try to go for the secondary objective, maybe pull it back, or go for primary and maybe tie the game, because it's really, once you're down 2-0 to Maelstrom and there's a Wraith Knight left on the table, it's pretty hard to catch up, especially with that many warp spiders on the table, and their mobility is pretty fast, almost as fast as bikes, believe it or not. So I had to pretty much choose, do I give up my Void Shield generator on the other side where they were really close? And I actually took, I think it was like 5 minutes of me just deliberating where I was going to come. And then I finally said, you know what? There's only 2 or 3, I think, warp spider units there. I was like, I'm just going to come on this side. I think it's only 2 units.
3.
And
it was definitely 3.
It was definitely 3? Okay. And I'm going to try to cripple those, because even if they do charge, strength 3 and I'm tough and toughness 4, they might not kill me in combat. They'll lock me up, but at least I'll survive that a lot longer than I will getting multi-charged by a bunch of units and a Wraith Knight. The D-cans were really close over there too, so I would have cornered myself.
Yeah.
And with the Stealth Ruins, I figured I could just put all my guys on the multi-level there. And essentially, the plan I already had in my head was I have to survive until the last turn, or the potential last turn, and get onto the objectives, and hope the game ends before he kills all my whole army. Because I realized after a while, you see of me shooting him, it's really hard to get through those 3+ saves. And I think he's losing like one or two guys now. And the whole strategy that he was saying about having one guy left or two and hiding them, and pretty much makes one unit shooting worthless. I think right now we're
And like
actually,
I had to be kind of dicky there, but if you watch, I actually jumped just my Exarch around the corner, and I left the 4 guys in the open to die. Because you could, there's windows that you can't see, so I could only hide one model. So I just hid the Exarch because he's immune to running, and I let those 4 guys die just so that I had one guy alive because he can theoretically go into those bikes.
exactly.
And that's why I was there with a laser pointer as well. It's just to make sure the line of sight. It's always finicky.
Well, it's
Yeah,
not
and-
even that. Like we were taught, like you have millimeter. So some people worry about that. Like if it looks like he can reasonably do it, like I could have went down there and spent 30 minutes just moving my guys back and forth, back and forth. Like that's what I'm kind of doing here. Okay, let's make sure that we got this right.
Mhm.
But like to a certain extent, you have to be like, if you think the guy can reasonably do it, you just say, "Yeah, man, I can't see you," and you move on. Because if you sit there with a laser pointer and make me move it for 20 minutes, we'll just never finish our game.
Yeah.
So that's
And
a
I
lot
think,
of it. When Logan came over there with the laser pointer, it was just like, okay, he's helping us out, so I can stay on my side of the table, and I don't
Yeah.
have to. Because some players will just sit back and say, "You move your models," and then they'll go down. I can see you, and they'll argue it. Whereas, like, so that means that you have to be really dicky, but
Mhm.
we kind of sped it along. So
Yeah, exactly. And that building, as many windows as it had, it's surprising was it actually had a lot of parts where you could hide models that you couldn't see them. It was actually really hard to see,
on
especially when
angles,
you're
right?
down on angles,
That's
especially
when
when you're
you
down
get
to
the
one
angles
unit.
with the windows, and you can't shoot through them. So.
Yeah, for sure. I was like, oh, that's really annoying.
And warp
So
spiders are smaller than, like, compared to modern figs, they're very small. Like,
yeah,
they're human
and
size.
and the gun doesn't count. So realistically, you're looking at a very crouched up guy, especially with the older model,
Mhm.
well, the only model,
Yeah, the only
and
model.
the only model, and it was actually pretty hard to see them. So I don't think I killed a full. I might have killed a full squad there, maybe one of them, but you still had some guys left, and I was like, okay, probably gonna get shot a lot.
Yeah.
And this is where that stealth ruins really came into play because any of those sixes, essentially, I always had the same save, so it was basically a Space Marine all game.
So I basically come in here, I jump my bikes out from behind that wall that we're hiding, and I'm just going to go everything but, like, 3 warp spider units nuts in this corner. I left 3 units back by the void shield generator in the top of the screen there. And they're just going to finish off those D cannons and kind of waste space because it's just board control at that point. And then I'm going after these bikes as hard as I could. I did jump my Wraith Knight down just so I could see 3 bikes because where he was, he couldn't really see any. So he had to jump down to get eye level to the 3rd floor bike guys, I do believe, that are there.
I think
Because he
so.
does have a scatter laser and 2 D cannons. Like, that could potentially cripple a bike unit. And my logic, what I was thinking with this part is I'm just going to take 1 unit and I'm going to pair him up with a bike unit. And I'm just going to try to kill 1 bike from every unit. I'm not trying, this early in the game, a common mistake people make is they try to completely delete bike units. Whereas I'm going for 1 bike per unit, make him do, like, I think it's like, what, 5 leadership checks. He's guaranteed to fail one. So if
Yeah.
you can kill 5 bikes, you might as well kill 5 from 5 units, then 1 unit's gone. And then round 2, you try to finish them, like, turn 3, sorry, you try to finish them off. So that's kind of what a common mistake people make. But yeah, here I'm just kind of bumping up, doing my move, run. Warp spiders are super fast. I'm moving really fast at this point because, it's one of those times it doesn't really matter how I hide because of the nature of that building and so many bikes. So I'm trying not to waste too much time on placement and just trying to get my dudes in there because I was really worried we wouldn't finish this game, and that was pretty important.
Yeah.
Because this is table 1. I don't know if you mentioned that. This is we were technically playing for the win of the tournament.
Yeah.
This is
I was number
last
1.
round, table 1. Now, worth noting as well, we've got a lot of dice rolls coming up. This was 2.5-hour rounds at 1,850 points. So, full, GT style games.
Yeah, and between the 2 of us, we have like 30 units that move in 5 phases and do like crazy stuff.
Yeah.
So as
It's
you
like
can see here, sorry, notice I did completely delete 1 or 2 units. That might have just been because of luck. I think it was. I think my bikes got really lucky and deleted a unit.
I think
But
so.
but normally what I'm doing is just one guy here because Yoshi like intermingles his bikes, so I'm just kind of killing 1 or 2, and I think if I'm correct, 1 unit will run off the board here once we're done the phase.
I think so. You did like exactly what you said. You did a wound to pretty much every unit there, and force a lot of leadership tests. I think I make more than I should have, but I'm pretty sure a bike unit runs away.
No, I think one bike unit running is all that I can expect.
Yeah,
Because leadership 8, you should pass that majority of the time. Like, isn't it like 80% or something like that, 86%.
something like
So
that. But
so
it's always terrifying when you have to roll leadership 8 tests. Like, you're
yeah,
not
like four
comfortable
of
at
them.
all.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not comfortable at all. And oh, did I roll that?
Well, you failed. It's just that's just me fighting your D batteries over there.
Oh, that's right. We had combat. That's
Yeah, I
right.
charged you, and I did nothing. It was funny. I whiffed. Those D batteries survived way longer than they should have, in my opinion. But
Yeah,
um,
5+ save guardians are better than space marines. I'm
yeah.
just saying.
So I guess it wasn't this turn that a unit ran off the board,
There's
or
lots
we
more
missed
bikes
it.
coming in.
But
So
there's lots more bikes coming
yeah,
in.
so your turn 2 now, Yoshi. You've got what 2 units of, or I guess your turn 3, right?
So my turn 3, I bring in one unit of warp spiders. Another one stays in reserve because I had 2 units of warp spiders. I think I forgot to say that at the beginning. And then I brought in the rest of my bikes. Pretty sure, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm pretty sure that's the rest of my bikes.
Yeah, it's hard to
Maybe,
see because we're so MSU. So
yeah,
it's like it's hard to tell how many bike units are gone at this point. But I think I actually killed 3 bike units that turn.
I think so, yeah. And so basically, I said I have to help reinforce this flank. Because if I go on the other side, they're all going to die. It's inevitable. So I might as well just keep bolstering this side because at least I'm doing some damage here. But at this point, I kind of have to hug this edge and try to hide back here away from the ranges of the other warp spiders and potentially getting charged by a wraith knight if he moved up close. And it's honestly, it's all about me trying to survive as long as I can and try to capture whatever objectives I can at this point to try to get some maelstrom. And I think, what do I shoot here? I think I move into the building again. Like my whole strategy is go to the top of the building, shoot, and then stay there in hopes that if he tries to shoot me or charge me or try to block some line of sight, I can get away from it. Because I've realized at this point that I can't kill enough warp spiders that fast, and me shooting them is just pushing them closer. So me actually coming to this corner and shooting the ones in the open there, I think I make the mistake of doing it once or twice, is pushing them closer, and it's actually negatively affecting me because I forgot countless times that the pale host lets you run 6 inches automatically, so he's moving 12 regardless. So it really hurts when you fire at them. If he doesn't flicker away, he'll just flicker close to you, and the next turn move 12 and then still fire 12, and you're like, oh, it's like I did nothing.
Well, usually I
Just
won't flicker. If I'm not scared of your actual shooting, I won't flicker. Just because
exactly,
I can go 2d6 plus 6 in my turn.
yeah.
But the one mistake you made here is when you put your guys on the top of the building, you pointed the noses over the edge.
That's right. That's right.
You should have turned them around in your assault phase so that just
Yeah.
they're like nothing was. Because I actually, the warp spiders lining that wall there were able to. Because you measure line of sight to the bike, and then the base is where you measure range to and from bikes. So I was able to like look up the side of that wall and shoot you.
Yeah, I should have played them backwards with their engines facing you.
Yeah,
The
that would
whole
have been
move.
a better option. But
Yeah.
you don't think of things like that. And to be honest, I only thought of that because I was in that position. Like it's one of those things. It just doesn't come up very often.
Yeah, this building's actually a lot taller than it really looks in this picture.
I think it was like 11 or 10 inches tall. So you had to be right underneath them.
Yeah, exactly. It was a pretty tall building. It's 3 floors, so it was pretty tall.
Yeah.
I think I move my autarch that came on, my warlord. I move him into the building there on the left and hide him in there because he's my warlord and I don't want to give up that point. And I know keeping him over here, I had him in a unit and he pretty much almost died. So I was like, no, that can't happen again. So I left him and I brought him into the building over there.
Yeah.
And just to keep him safe for the meantime with 3 wounds and a 3+ save, I don't think he was really gonna, die immediately. So I keep him there and I try to hold him back with my own warp spiders. And I think at this, how many bike units do I have left? I think I maybe have like 2 or 3 bike units left in that building. My decans on the other side are getting pummeled alive, and my inquisitor like walked up just to be killed, just to give him something else to shoot at over there because I didn't want him to just leave a spider unit there and then just walk away with the other 2 or 3, the other 2 or 1 that's there.
Yeah.
Um, Something I kept forgetting about the whole game, which actually drove me nuts, and I don't think you ever shot me with them, but I don't think they ever shot once, were your D cannons.
No,
I don't think they fired once the whole
I
game.
misplayed them. I was concentrating too heavily on the warp spiders, and I kept forgetting to run my D cannons.
Hmm.
So they moved into terrain, and I had fairly terrible rolls 2 turns in a row. Whereas if I would have just moved and ran turn 1, it would have forced you back a bit.
Hmm.
And then if I would have moved and ran again, I could have had access to that building for like 2 turns of shelling or towards your warlord. I would say that I misplayed my D cannons this game, and that's one thing when I walked away. I was like, man, I didn't use my D cannons.
Yeah.
I kind of just because like most people stay. I was like, oh, he'll just stay away anyway because he's Eldar. But there were so many opportunities with where I could have used them to control the board, and it never worked out. So here
Yeah.
I'm using my psychic power to force his warp spiders away
Yeah.
in the psychic phase,
I get to.
get him behind the wall, and then my plan was to shoot his autarch. But it turns out his autarch wasn't where he was. He was in the rubble in the corner of the building, so I couldn't have seen him.
Yeah. He
So that was
just
just
like
a mistake on my part.
yeah. I think I had misinterpreted it, or I'd said it but like in passing or something. But yeah, where you see him there, he's actually in the corner of that building, but there's rubble in there. You can't actually shove him in there.
Yeah.
He's too
So that,
tall.
that was a slight mistake, but it wasn't a big deal because I wasn't expecting to lose a bike. I was basically like, if he's going to shoot everything at my Farseer and my Autarch, who's my Warlord, who I'm protecting, and my one bike,
Yeah.
the odds of him killing them, because nothing instant kills me, is very, very, very low. Especially his Warp Spiders, because now he's wounding me on, I think it was 5s or 3s or 4s or something like that. 4s, right? And then, so I was not too worried because it would just mean that my Warp Spiders, and here all my Warp Spiders are charging his bikes in the bottom right, getting in
Right.
combat. So I just really wasn't too worried about that mistake. And,
Yeah.
I didn't think, what are the odds of me failing 7 3+ saves when I had to make a bunch, but we'll see that come up.
Yeah. And it's actually pretty brutal. Getting shot by warp spiders and then charged by warp spiders. They might not be great in combat, but it's a lot of saves you got to take over and over.
It's
So
not that, it's too. It's your bikes can't hit and run. They stay in
yeah.
combat. I locked you down. You're off an objective, and then sometimes I would hit and run out and then charge you again.
Yeah.
Um,
Over and over.
and
Shoot me and then
that's how
charge.
the rest of the game's gonna be. It's gonna be just a lot of this building right here. Probably took us a half hour to 40 minutes to just do every round of just shooting the bikes, charging the bikes, locking them down in Yoshi's turn so they can't move, hitting
Yeah.
and running, shooting them again, not killing them, moving because they have a 3+ cover, moving in, charging them, not killing them. His turn goes, he can't move them, and back and forth. So
It was
that
just
building was really crazy.
yeah, it was just a grind fest in that building. And it looks like there's some units there, but it's actually units on like almost every level fighting some kind of a combat.
Yeah, it's really hard to see with this camera angle, but you get the picture. So there's not too much more left of this turn. We just cleaned up the D batteries there, and the Inquisitor. I do believe at this point they're all gone.
I think you fire one warp spider at him and he just dies
Yeah,
immediately.
so I think I got all 3 of those. So I basically cleared that side of the board, and I have 3 Warp Spider units that I'm intentionally leaving there because 3 units can cover an objective, so he can never reach it, which means I can spread out on it. He has nothing that can like tank shock me off, and then
Mhm.
anything that tries for it, I can just kill.
Yeah.
So
So here I have my last unit of warp spiders coming on, and I put them closer to the objective there towards where Chris is at the top left because I figured primary is those 4 objectives, so I might as well try to hold one with these warp spiders over here because he could move those warp spiders there, but now we're closing into like turn 4 or 5. I think it's turn 4 right now, and I might as well be there, try to kill maybe a decan. I think I might have rolled killed a unit, but I have to try to get one objective, and the objective at the bottom left, I might as well try to get that one, at least tie primary, because right now I think I'm down on Maelstrom, or the whole time I thought I was tied, but I'd forgotten that the Wraith Knight was dead, and he was actually up by 2 throughout the whole time, and
no,
only
I wasn't up
towards.
by 2. We were tied, and then I caught up late game.
Oh,
But
that's right.
because initially I didn't get my initial 2, so you're actually ahead by 1 almost the entire game because of
And
that
then
first turn disaster of mine.
that's
But I say disaster, but that just happens. That's just
yeah.
is what it is. And my mistake, I think, on this end was that because I abandoned my side of the board almost completely, he was able to run free reign on it, which meant that I was missing some Maelstrom objectives and I was missing half the board essentially.
Yeah, and here was where you rolled all those. I think you failed every single save when I shot at your Farseer, Autarch, and 2 bikes in
Yeah,
a unit.
two bikes shot my unit and killed them all, which is like a fluke.
Yeah, it was huge.
Because I was actually going to use them to contest the objective that you're to kind of go after that warlord guy, but that's
Yeah,
unfortunate. So that basically sealed my fate in the bottom left here that said it's now yours and I'm out. But I
yeah,
had this building towards the camera. I basically at this point I'm pretty much mopping up your dudes. So,
hmm
I think there was like 3 bikes left down there, 1 on the front and then 2 in the back.
Yeah, I'm essentially setting up my dudes here for that. On my bottom, I can kind of grab whatever objectives I need and maybe put a few wounds on the Wraith Knight. But I essentially have to now hunker in because he's essentially tabling me pretty much. Like I have only what 4 squads left, 5 squads left on the whole table.
Yeah. So you had one, two, three, four, five bikes, an Autark, and 10 warp spiders at this point, and a
Yeah,
Farseer with 1 wound left.
yeah. I actually made a huge mistake when I rolled. I was rolling this dangerous terrain, and remember that dangerous terrain I'm gonna roll later on this building. I was rolling it for no reason, and if he
Well,
had died,
I thought you weren't rolling most of them though.
I wasn't. But at the end,
Oh,
we'll
you did
see
do
it.
it once.
I did it once, and you're like, if he had died, it would have cost me that objective, and I would have totally forgotten because I did that I had stealth ruins, and it would have cost me the primary objective because he would have died and not been holding.
So this is kind of a mistake. My Wraith Knight here is going after his Farseer for a Maelstrom point. I do believe. I might shoot the warp spiders. I might not. I can't quite remember. But I remember like normally what I do is just move him there. I wouldn't shoot anything, and I would charge that warp spider unit and kill it. But it's like getting near the end of the game, so I spread out my warp spiders on all the objectives in Yoshi's side, and then I'm basically going for. So it may look a bit fishy right now, but I'm actually just going for maximum Maelstrom points because it doesn't matter if I kill that warp spider unit or not. I do believe because
Mhm.
um, I was just hoping for the game to go on and then I would kill them, but.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think it's your turn right now, or are we doing combat?
I'm just mopping you up. And so if you look at the top objective on your side, I have all my warp spiders spread around the objective so you can't get to it. And then
Yeah,
right now I'm spreading my rest of my warp spiders around the other objective so you can't reach it. Because even though
yeah,
your objective's secured, if you can't get within 3 inches, it doesn't matter.
exactly. And I think you end up circling this objective and the top right objective,
Yeah.
pretty much to the point where I can't get there.
So I basically right now and I think it's turn five. So it's your turn five, and I'm basically at the point where it's if the game ends now, it's a tie primary, and I'm winning secondary by 1.
Yes. Or are we tied on secondary right now?
No, we're tied. It would be a tie.
It would
And
be a
of
tie.
course, so we know going into this that I'm like 13 points of battle ahead of Yoshi, and the minimum you can get is like 7 or 8 points. And I do
Yeah.
believe I even had first blood, so I really just had to not lose, and I was technically ahead of him in battle. So that's kind of why I'm like sitting in a tie posture right now.
Hmm. And at this point, I've realized I need to hold these objectives to tie the primary at least. But for me, in order to win the Maelstrom, I actually have to do 3 wounds to this Wraith Knight to get the extra Maelstrom point,
And he wins the game, yeah. If
and I
if,
would win the
if he
game
gets it, yeah.
if I get it. So I end up terrifying and psychic screaming with the Farseer up at the top and doing a wound to him. And then it just happened now, but I fired 4 or 5 warp spiders into him and did 3 wounds, which got me the Maelstrom. And then now it's just me hopping on the 2 objectives to tie that part. I
Yeah,
had Slay the
you did
Warlord.
4 wounds to me, like in
Yeah,
that turn.
yeah, I think that's a 2. And
That's it. Yeah, 2 left. Yeah.
yeah, there it was. I basically tied on primary. I got the Maelstrom there, and I was praying that the game would end then because if it didn't, those warp spiders in the bottom would come over, kill my Autark. My one bike there is left there to die from anything else.
Well, the Wraith Knight probably, or my other Warp Spiders, because at this point in time, I actually have 7 or 8 Warp Spider units still on the board.
Yeah, something you have a vast majority of your army left. Like I can just see it right now. Those warp spiders on the objective at the top would jump over. Farseer's dead. Wraith Knight jumps down, charges the other warp spiders I have there, dead, and then it's like GG. And
Yeah,
game turn.
you'd have like 1 unit of Warp Spiders left alive, but we called Andrew over and he rolled the 2, which ended the game. So it ended up being a draw primary and a win on secondary to Yoshi.
Yeah,
And then I had Linebreaker and Slay the Warlord. Sorry, Linebreaker and First Blood, and then he had Slay the Warlord and Linebreaker.
yeah.
So
So I won by 1.
Yeah,
yeah, you won by like 4 points, I think, or 5 points. Like you won, you decent. Like it was a minor win. It was a decent victory.
Yeah, I had like 14 or 15, something
So
like that.
and I had like a 9 or something like that. And
Something.
but 6 ahead wasn't enough. It actually put you to third overall in battle. Sadly, if you would have been able to double win, you probably would have taken it in full battle, right?
Yeah,
yeah,
I would
it
have
was
had.
very close. I think he was 3 or 4 points behind you at the end of the
In
tournament.
the end, yeah,
Yeah.
and he won the game, which is crazy, right? So
Yeah.
it was mine to lose, but it was really close. And that's the thing. If he would have rolled a 3 plus there at the end, it would have been wicked in my favor.
Exactly. Those are a prime example of turn 5 for Eldar, you want that game to end after you've done your move to every objective, and you're just there praying to God that game doesn't go on, because many games have happened where I've done that, and then game goes on, and I lose right then and there, because
That,
3 bucks don't survive everything.
and for me, I was actually super scared that whole game that I was gonna double lose because I was behind in Maelstrom from that turn one when he scored 2 and I scored 1. That one move where I wasn't able to get that bike unit or any of those units
Yeah.
really put me in the back foot, and I was actually terrified I was going to double lose that right until about turn 4 when I eked ahead in all categories, and then he was able to pull it back in the end. So
Yeah. I did at the end of the game. I did the math. I'm like, no, I might win general, and then Joe won.
Yeah, and you ended well. To be fair, the end results of the tournament, Chris got best overall, and Yoshi
And best.
you had second best overall, I think, right?
I did.
yes,
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And Joe had best general.
Yeah, Joe had best general.
Did Joe have best general because I had second best overall, or
Yes.
did Joe have?
yes, yeah. So total battle was actually, I think it was me, you, and then Joe. No, it was me, Joe, and then you.
Yeah.
As far
Yeah.
as like straight generalship.
Yeah,
So
so
it was like LVO. It would be like just me, Joe, then you in total because they don't count soft scores, do they at LVO?
no,
Yeah, that's right.
yeah. So
I was happy though.
yeah,
I
the,
didn't
the,
lose.
the way it worked out was, we gave the awards to whatever the highest payout would be based on what you could get. So multiple people could have won in multiple categories, but we'd only give them whatever the best was. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right,
and best overall is more important than general, right? Because we like to encourage the hobby around here.
yeah, the
Yep.
fluffiness, the
Yeah.
fluffiness. I just had fun. I was there for fun.
Yeah,
I
but it was a good game. Like I know people hear, oh, Eldar, it's boring. It was actually like super
I-
tactical, super fun. We both played it well, I think.
Yeah, I had more fun playing against your army than I did against the Chaos Army I played before you, and that game was like a walk in the park, in comparison, right?
Yeah, it was
Like,
kind of our game was kind of stressful, and it was like game 4. We're both tired.
Yeah.
We never really got snappy. There's just, but it was like, it was definitely like we both put our game faces on. And it's funny too because you're watching the fast forwarded video, and it's like, it looks like I'm super antsy, like rubbing my face and moving around and twitching, but that's just like the fast forward because those
Yeah.
could have been like 10 minutes. You're sitting there, right? So
Like any rule dispute we ever had lasted maybe what, like 20 seconds. It was like, Logan, what was it? Cool, awesome.
yeah, we finished early, right? Like I think we finished in under 2 hours, and that was double Eldar
yeah,
on
Yeah.
Eldar.
this
Like,
full video is about 35 minutes. Sped up, so about 33 minutes of game time, 4x speed. So yeah, you guys had about half an hour left at the end of the game.
yeah, so that's awesome. Like that just
that's
goes to show that if you're serious and you both play right, you can get, and then you're both reasonable, you can get a game done.
Oh, 100%. There's no reason why games shouldn't finish it, especially if two opponents are both, what's the word I'm looking for? Not coherent.
Competent, but that's not a
Competent,
really
thank you.
fair word. That's making fun of people. So
I'll make fun of people.
I guess
Anyway.
that's it. We won't babble anymore then. But
Yeah, so thanks for joining me here, guys. And I guess this is going to be the last video in the series from Powerfists and Psykers 3. If you are interested in coming out to one of the events, we hold them basically quarterly. So the next one's going to be in late May in Ottawa, Ontario. It is really close to being sold out already at the time we're recording this, which is the beginning of March. So probably keep your eyes open for Powerfists and Psykers 5, which is likely to be in September. But otherwise, also check out Capital City Bloodbath, which is coming up at the end of August, where we will all be there. Chris and I are TOing, and I'm sure Yoshi will be there trying to gun for best overall. So come,
I
put him
will.
in his place. Anyway, Peasant, thanks for watching.